So she said all animals have seven emotion, or there are seven emotions that span animals. And so um, the first one is fear. How low or how high is their fear level? You know, some animals are get fearful real quick, and other animals are like real docile and they don't get fearful very quick. So uh, fear, and then bold versus shy, um, separation stress. How do they feel being separated? And then the high and low seekers. She calls them seekers. So basically, they're explorers. How adventuresome are they? Do they, because some animals are very adventuresome, and some animals, you know, want to run in the house when a grasshopper comes out of the grass. And so that the explorers. Then you have sex drive. What's their libido like? And then you have maternal characteristics. Are they nurturing, for their for young, and even for each other. Sometimes this you see, for example, somebody that has a dog and a cat, and you'll see the dog licking the cat or the cat sleeping with the dog. That indicates a nurturing. You might not be having babies, but that same nurturing maternal instinct is and then you have others that you can't get the dog and cat to even be in the same room together. They're always fighting. And so that's maternal. And then the final one is play. Some animals really, really, as you know, love to play, and others, not so much. And so those are the seven different emotions that illustrate. Um, well, they end up illustrating how we interact, you know, with the animals. Um, that's those were my takeaways, and I found them, very interesting. I always learn something from Temple, and the main thing and I've been with her numerous times doing presentations, interviews, and things, and my main takeaway from Temple in all those times we've been together is that animals don't have a schedule. They don't have doctor appointments. They don't have to, go to school. And so an animal lives completely in the now. They don't understand, oh, there's no water in my dish. That's fine. They're going to come at 4 o'clock and give me water. They don't understand that. And so um, And so they are completely consumed, completely in the moment. I mean, as humans, we talk about, come on, be present, be in the moment. We use those kind of things. Why? Because we're not in the moment. Every moment we're thinking, well, at 3 o'clock, I got to do this. At 5 o'clock, I got to start supper. At 7 o'clock, I got to, do this and that. And we're never in the moment. We have to almost go into into a trance to get into the moment. Whereas animals constantly live in the moment, which means they see everything, they observe everything, and and um, and they can't dismiss a bad memory. If there's a bad memory, they can't dismiss it because that's all there was. That's all there was at that time. They can't say, well, he was in a bad mood today, or I know he was hurrying because he had to go out for, and meet the company CEO for a meeting. They can't excuse, they can't dismiss anything. And so that means every interaction becomes indelibly imprinted in their memory pack, and so it takes some real work once we've whatever messed them up. Um, it especially with with some abusive stuff. It's really hard to bring that around. So anyway, those are some of my takeaways from Temple, and she's just She's just so delightful.
She's amazing. So I've never had the privilege of meeting her. I'm wondering from your interactions and what you've learned about her, how does she connect with animals? Like she connects with them at a deeper level than most people. So what is she doing? Like, is she, like she sees in pictures? Like, how is she sensing? Does she feel things from the animals, or how is
Yeah,
she communicating?
yeah. So she doesn't work in the abstract at all. Um, and so she is all about patterns, patterns, um, and real time, uh, visceral stuff. And so if there's a shadow, she says for example, if you're a farmer and you always wear a hat with a John Deere logo on the top, when you go out and move your cows, if you switch to a hat with um, uh, whatever the local bowling club logo on the front, the cows notice that. That's how that's how much they notice. And so a lot of her work, her stuff in the past has been um, getting at that eye level of the animal, especially at slaughterhouses. When she was talking about, she was at one, and the cattle would come off of the truck. Okay, they'd go up, and then they'd stop. They couldn't get them to go up the last little bit to the knock box, and they couldn't figure out what the problem was. Well, the problem was that as they entered that, the alley was 12 inches above the surrounding floor, and the cows felt like they were going to fall off. They were going into they were going up into an upper level, and they didn't feel comfortable with that 12-inch drop all around them. And so what they did, they actually took cardboard boxes. It's a great story. They took cardboard boxes. And so are you with me? In other words, they're going up an alley, and the floor level, the alley is rising, and the floor level is staying the same. And so as they rise, they're coming farther and farther away from what they perceive as their world. Okay. And so they literally went out and got a bunch of cardboard boxes, and she cut them up and just put them on that concrete floor near that ramp, so that the floor became the same level as the ramp going up. Cows went up just no problem.
Oh,
Be-
wow.
because they felt like they were on firm ground. They didn't feel like they were on this little spine pinnacle of something, and which was scary for them. So somehow her stories of, like, she had an outfit collar. The cows, they couldn't get the cows to go where they wanted them to go. So she went, and what she saw was a string. A string was hanging down from a rafter. Somebody tied something up there at some point, and she took the string away. Cows went through no problem at all.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's incredible. Wow. I mean, what a testament too to just the small things that can make
yeah,
such a big difference, like
yeah,
in their lives and in our lives.
yeah,
I have got to meet her. It's interesting because speaking of labels,
yeah,
um, we often label autism as, a thing that is just really negative. And we think of, in general, society thinks of autistic people as having lesser intelligence than the rest of us. And clearly, she defies that label. She
yeah,
wears it as it's like a superpower for her
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
allowing her to connect and be
Yeah.
in the moment and to figure these things out. I mean, it's truly incredible.
Friends, want to dive deeper into our thought provoking conversations? Become part of the Beyond Labels family today by joining below. For any gift amount, you'll get access to the full, uncut episodes.
Every contribution, whether big or small, keeps this podcast going.
So join us and expand your Beyond Labels experience. Thank you.